Hey, welcome back to the channel. Well, it's a new year and it's time to make my home a smart home. Now, up until this point, I've never really spent a whole lot of time looking at smart home technology because it seemed a little bit more cumbersome than it was actually worth. But as I've spent more time looking at some of the problems I'm trying to solve and the technology that's out there, it's been a lot of fun to dive into it. So today I'm going to talk about the problems I'm trying to solve, the gear that I purchased to solve those problems, and how it's going so far now that I've installed that gear in my house. So let's get into it. Now, a few months ago, I started diving deep into everything smart home, all the different protocols, whether it's Thread or Matter or Zigbee, basically everything there is to learn about how these smart home devices connect with one another. And to be honest, it's a huge rabbit hole that gets really complicated really quickly. So I'm striving to make this video and my smart home relatively simple by using Apple HomeKit so everyone in my family can use the devices that I'm going to install. After hours and hours of research, I decided to start building my smart home with the Philips Hue hub. That's going to be my basis for all of the smart lights in the house that I'm going to install. It allows each bulb to connect to the hub rather than my Wi-Fi and not bog down the whole network. It also just seems like that's the most reliable option out on the market. The second smart home device that I purchased is the Aqara M2 hub. Now I know that this isn't the M3 and the latest and greatest, but the M2 can be found for really cheap online on Amazon when there's specific sales, and it connects to a handful of their sensors without needing the latest and greatest. So it's a great way to save some money with an option that integrates directly into HomeKit. Now, between these two hubs, the Philips Hue and the Aqara, I'm going to be able to connect everything into my smart home without connecting a bazillion devices straight into my network and bogging it all down. So I think it's going to keep the system relatively simple and clean. And so to connect everything together into the Apple HomeKit, I'm going to use a HomePod Mini. Now, I've had one for a number of years and it's sat in the kitchen, and the only thing it's done up until this point is act as a timer for when I'm cooking pasta and playing music. So now we're really going to put it to the test and have it be the hub of the smart home. So all in all, after shopping for all of these items on Amazon and Facebook Marketplace and getting some of them used, getting some of them on sale, it ultimately cost me about $300 to get started with all of this. So let's talk about the problems I'm trying to solve now. Problem number one. The light switch in this office is in the absolute worst spot. Now, it's behind the door and it's a first world problem, but I hate having to come in and close the door in order to actually operate the light switch. I've had an electrician come out here and they quoted me $1,200 to move it because of the fact that it's acting as a junction box for some other lights, and it's a whole pain. So I'm gonna solve that by putting a smart switch somewhere in this room that's much more easily accessible. Problem number two, with a new puppy in my house, I am always waking up in the middle of the night for potty breaks or crate training, whatever it is. I'm waking up at every hour of the evening. So I figured there was gotta be a way to use some smart bulbs and some automations to make it so that when I walk outside for a potty break at 3 a.m., I'm not burning my eyes with all the lights at 100% in my house. The third issue revolves around my kitchen sink and dishwasher. We've had a couple issues with them leaking and water getting into the floors, and that can be a really big issue if you've got wood floors or laminate or something like that. So I want to put a couple water leak sensors around the house in the event that there's another issue. With the gear in hand, it was time to start wiring it up. I decided I wanted to hide as many hubs as possible in my office, so I went to town with a variety of command strips, cable ties, and zip ties to wire everything together. I'll show a diagram on screen of exactly how this is wired up, but essentially the Wi-Fi comes in through the coax cable into my modem. From the modem, I go into the router. From the router, I go to a switch, and then the switch has Ethernet cables to plug into all my devices, the Philips Hue hub, the Aqara hub, and my MacBook at the desk. I also got this small white box here to house all of the power cables under my desk. Once I had the hubs hooked up to the network, it was relatively simple to start adding smart home devices. Just put them into pairing mode and open up the Philips Hue app or Aqara app, click a few buttons, and they are synced up and ready to go. If you've got the Aqara app and the Philips Hue app synced into HomeKit through the native integration, all those devices will instantly appear. So that means when you add a light bulb into Philips Hue, it shows up in the Home app. Or if you add a door sensor in the Aqara app, it shows up in the Home app. It's really simple and it's awesome. So what I've done to solve this first problem here is I've taken this Aqara switch, which is pretty cheap, it's $10 or $15, and I've stuck it on the wall in a place that's easily accessible. And I've actually got 3 different clicks that I can program in Apple Home to activate different scenes. When I click it once, it turns on my office lights. When I click it twice, it turns on a few additional lights for when I want to work in the evening or have more of a vibe set in the room. And if I hold the switch, it turns all the lights in the office off. So now I no longer have to use that switch that's hidden behind the door. It makes it significantly easier to just turn things on and off in the office, and I'm loving it. Let's talk about the second problem. Since getting a puppy, I am waking up at every hour in the evening for potty breaks and crate training. So what I wanted to do was find a solution to being blasted by the lights at 3 a.m. at 100%. So what I've done is I've actually created an automation. So when it recognizes that one of my door sensors has opened and I've stepped outside, it turns on the smart light bulb in those outdoor fixtures to a dimmed percentage, something like 10 or 20%. And I have it set on a timer as well. So basically, if I have to go and take my dog out and I open the back slider at 3 a.m., it turns on the outdoor light at about 10 or 20%, just enough to see what I'm doing, take the dog out for a potty break, and come back in. And then I know 5 minutes later, the light is going to turn off and everything is good to go. The third problem I'm trying to solve is the water leaks, and that is easily solved with the Aqara water leak sensor. All you have to do is pair it to the hub and put it under the sink or washing machine or dishwasher, wherever you want to get triggers or notifications when there's a water leak. And it works incredibly fast. I put it on my kitchen counter, flicked some water on it, and both me and my wife got a critical alert for a water leak within seconds. Pretty cool and a pretty simple solution. So that's everything that I've installed into my smart home so far, and it's been a lot of fun. And pretty much everything is working exactly as intended with no issues, except for one thing. I have a smart bulb connected to an exterior lamp that's supposed to turn on at sunset and then turn off at sunrise. For some reason, it comes on at random times and is pink, and I cannot figure out why. If you've got a solution, let me know down in the comments below. With that being said, this has been a ton of fun so far, and I can't wait to explore more ways to automate things in my smart home. So if you learned something new, or maybe you're starting a smart home soon for yourself, let me know down in the comments below. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.